to Destination Dionna. I'm Deanna, love guide to all and kept wife strategist to the women I'm called to serve. Please consider my channel your self-help learning library for love. Join me every Monday at 1 p.m. Central Standard Time for our weekly coaching gem, where I give guidance to elevate your love experience. And on Wednesdays at 1 p.m., tune in for Sounds About Wife, where I give my unique wife perspective and prepare professional women like you to become kept wives. So hit that subscribe button and let's start this love journey together. See you soon, my loves. Season 3, Episode 6, How Guilt Sabotages Healthy Relationships. So why am I talking about guilt? Guilt is one of the most polite ways women abandon themselves inside of relationships. It rarely shows up wearing like chaos, but it usually shows up wearing virtue. What do I mean? Well, here's the example. It sounds like, I don't want to ask for too much. I'm just grateful you're even here. I can't expect that from someone. And I need you to hear me clearly. Guilt is not humility. Guilt is often just conditioning, but dressed up as character. By the end of this episode, you're going to clearly recognize how guilt quietly erodes intimacy, even in otherwise healthy relationships, why guilt creates emotional imbalance and disconnect over time, and what a prepared woman replaces guilt with, so she can receive love without apology and participate in partnership without her having to shrink. Okay, so stay with me, because understanding guilt changes how you show up in relationships, and it changes how safe it feels for you to let someone love you well. Welcome to Sounds About Wife. And here we talk about the mindset, the identity, and the relational wealth required to experience love that actually sustains you. Okay, I am Deanna Washington. I'm known as the Kept Wife Strategist, and I am your relational wealth advocate. So if you wonder like what I do, in a nutshell, I prepare women to recognize quality men, receive love without old patterns running the relationship or marriage, and I teach them how to reciprocate with feminine contribution instead of masculine efforting. So yeah, but today the focus is guilt, specifically the kind of guilt that makes receiving feel wrong, even when love is showing up correctly. Oh, and I see one of my Kepties is here. Hey, Nicole. Oh, thank you so much. Yes, my anniversary is next week. I'm getting ready to go on my love sabbatical. Oh, yeah. So I'm just trying to get all the things done so I can be away for 2 weeks with my honey. Thank you. Thank you so much. So yeah, let's begin with what I consistently observe in women who, I would say, they deeply desire healthy love, but they somehow still struggle to fully experience it. Okay. And what I've observed is many women carry this, thank you. Many women carry a hidden belief that sounds the kind of like responsibility. Yeah, girl. Ooh. But how it actually functions in relationships is self-abandonment. Okay, so here's the belief. I'm gonna give language to it. I believe that really helps understand these concepts. Is if I receive too much, I'm taking too much, right? And I want to say this in a way that lands gently, but clearly. A lot of women believe that they deserve good treatment occasionally. They believe they deserve it, they deserve care and presents and gifts on their birthday. They believe they deserve support when they believe they deserve love after they've proven loyalty. But when it comes to consistent love, stable love that you can count on, care that exists without constant earning or proving yourself, that is where guilt often enters the chat. Okay? And that's because guilt is deeply connected to the fear of being too much. And the fear of being too much almost always has some sort of history. There's a connection to something in your history. And it usually is, you've been told that you were too emotional. You were told that you were too needy. You were too expressive. You were too expensive, too complicated. So what many women do is they make a quiet identity decision early in life. I'm going to be easy to love. What does that mean? I'm not going to require too much. Right? I'm not going to say too much. I'm not going to do too much. I'm not going to be too much. I'm not going to ask for too much. But over time, being easy to love often turns into being easy to overlook, easy to underserve, easy to take for granted. So here's the strategic feminine truth that the Kepti lens will reveal to you. Guilt shows up when a woman begins asking for more, but her identity still believes she must earn it. She must earn the basic emotional consideration. That's why your guilt feels so convincing. It feels like kindness. It feels like you're being patient. It feels like you're giving grace. But relationally, guilt often teaches women to hide their needs instead of expressing them. But that hidden need never disappears. And that's where you get the resentment, right? And that becomes emotional distance. And that becomes quiet dissatisfaction that women struggle to explain. I'm like reliving when I felt guilty. Okay. So let me show you some applied awareness. Okay. Let me show you how this plays out in everyday relationship dynamics. And this should make it even more clear. And this is what I see women do constantly, right? A partner offers to help. He shows up consistently. He makes emotional space for her needs. And instead of allowing herself to relax into the experience, she instinctively minimizes herself. So she'll say things like this. It's okay. I don't need anything. Nah, don't worry about it. Oh, I don't want to be a bother. I'm fine. Even when she isn't. And with the Kepti lens, you know that this is not emotional maturity. This is just a form of protective conditioning. You're doing this to protect yourself because if she never fully receives, she never fully risks disappointment either. Guilt becomes a way to stay in control of emotional exposure. But Here's the relational consequence most women never even realize. When you consistently downplay your needs, your partner never truly meets the real you. They meet a version of you that feels safe to present. And then what happens? They can't actually meet your needs. So there's this dissatisfaction, there's built up resentment. All of this is growing because you don't feel safe enough. You feel guilty about your needs, about your desires. And guilt just blocks the intimacy, but it's not loud, right? It's not dramatic. It's very quiet and it's over time. Yeah. Listen, I was like, when this lesson came to me, I was like, God, what do you mean? Like, what guilt? Like, I get it. Because in a spiritual sense, like, God doesn't want us feeling guilty about our mistakes. Guilt and shame is what separates us from God. So when God broke it down to me, like, well, if that separates you from me, and the ultimate thing I want from you is relationship. Think about how that's showing up romantically in marriages, in dating relationships. I was like, oh. So I meditated on this. And then it's funny because I started seeing all the examples. It became alive to me. I'm like, oh my goodness, I have to talk about this. Okay. And important because I said I would talk about like how this impacts intimacy. Intimacy can't deepen with a version of you that is consistently edited for comfort. So when you're not experiencing the romance you desire, it's because there is something going on with the intimacy. The intimacy is not being built properly because you're feeling guilt and shame for what you desire, what you want. You're not authentically showing up as your true self. You're still guarded. So let me now elevate the conversation a bit. Okay. And let's connect this to long-term partnership and marriage dynamics, right? Because this is Sounds About Wife. So I'm giving wife perspectives. I'm giving information and impartation from the Holy Spirit, let's be clear, to prepare you as a wife. So if you want casual things and you just want to manipulate and things like that, this is not the place for you. I'm talking to my Kepties, okay? Kept wives already or women who aspire. Relational wealth requires emotional honesty in circulation. If one partner is constantly apologizing for needing care or reassurance or support, there's a power imbalance that slowly develops. So it may not be said out loud, but that emotional energy, this is what it communicates. I'm lucky you're here, so I won't ask for much. Just that sounds desperate. And that's, I'm always telling you all, like, you don't want desperate energy. You don't want it when you're attracting someone, and you definitely don't want it when you're sustaining something with someone. Now, here's the beauty of this, right? Because you all are doing the work to prepare yourselves for a quality keeper man, a healthy keeper will often try to correct this. But an unhealthy man will comfortably benefit from it. So if you all are trying to look for ways for you to distinguish, here's one. When you are shrinking, when you're trying to lessen, the keeper is going to raise you up. I'll give you all an example. When I was first dating my now keeper husband, he asked me, like, what was my dream car? And I told him a Ford Explorer. Now, nothing wrong with a Ford Explorer. If you drive a Ford Explorer, God bless you, right? Ford is built, Ford tough, all the things. But a Ford Explorer was my version of not asking for too much. A Ford Explorer at the time was, a step up from where I was. It felt like this is a safe thing to say. And my husband corrected me. He said, nah, I don't think that's your dream car. And I'm just like, well, yeah, I was thinking about like what's doable, what makes sense now, like what I could afford, all the things. And he was like, I didn't ask you that. I asked you what was your dream. And I was like, oh, a Range Rover, white, black interior, black spokes. Like, but the example is he's a keeper, right? He corrected that imbalance. Don't show up here lessening yourself. Nah, be your whole self, honey. And when I think about this, that's why guilt isn't just a self-worth issue. It's also a discernment issue, right? Prepared women, my Kepties, they understand something foundational. Love is not charity. Receiving is not a favor. Mutual care is the baseline of sustainable partnership. But guilt tells women that all of that needs to be earned. You have to do certain things to get that, instead of that just being the standard. And through the relational wealth lens that I teach, women learn that love isn't just this butterfly feeling. Love is actually something you intentionally cultivate. Okay? Like you don't earn a garden. You don't behave well and then a garden shows up. You cultivate a garden. Right? There has to be seeds. They have to be planted. You have to pay attention to the environment. You got to have good soil. You got to water it. You got to look over it. You got to pray and anoint that that thing. Then you got to give it time to grow. Right? And then you got to till the land. And then you see it's a process through cultivation. Okay? And cultivation is like the ultimate example of reciprocity, right? You're cultivating your land and your land reciprocates with the fruit. Let me see. I straight up told my husband, I want a Lexus. I haven't gotten it yet. However, I believe it's coming. Listen, I ain't got my Range Rover either. So it's okay. But I believe we plant the seeds. We plant the seeds. Imagine if you don't tell your husband about the Lexus and he saves up his money and he goes and gets you something else. Now you've given him a target, right? He can research it. He can talk to his connects. Who knows, right? He could be talking about it to somebody and somebody gift one to him for you. But that wouldn't be able to happen if you didn't say it. So I'm so glad you did that, Nicole. I wonder if you can relate this to abstinence. Sometimes I feel guilty for withholding as I'm not a virgin, but desire. Oh, thank you for your transparency. You absolutely can relate this to an abstinence journey, right? This is my second marriage. I came in with 2 kids. So at the very least, my husband knows I had sex 2 times. Okay? Before him with someone else. Okay? I made that decision as well. I wanted to do it right, in decency and order, God's way, right? And in the beginning, my mind had a hard time with that too. Like, wait a minute, you're not a virgin. You can't require that. All the noise, all the noise that tries to keep you in guilt and shame about these things. When in reality, any choice that you are making that aligns with God's original design, there's no guilt with that. And again, back to how I said, like, a keeper is actually going to correct any imbalances, and an unhealthy man will comfortably try to benefit from that. So this is like a way to discern the men you're dating. A healthy keeper is going to help you keep this word to yourself. He's going to be on board with that. An unhealthy man is going to try to guilt you. He's going to try to feed off of that. You ain't a virgin. What gives you the right to do that? I'm born again. Born again. How about that? That's my right. It's my choice. I don't care what I did before. This is now. But you have to be comfortable in that to be able to sit with that. Thank you for sharing that. Oh, that's a perfect example. So for all of my ladies who are in these dating streets, but you are preparing and you are keeping yourself, right? When I talk about being a kept wife, I know I get a lot of flack for this, right? People try to reduce it down to only finances and all the things just because I talked about my husband, paying all the bills. So what? In reality, the fullness of being a kept wife means that you are first kept by God. Okay? You are first kept by God, meaning you are submitted to God and his provision for your life. Then you can become kept by your husband, who will love you like Christ, provide for you like Christ, to whatever it is you desire. Not every woman desires for her husband to pay all the bills. There are those rare cases where women absolutely want to pay bills. Cool, have at it. However, I believe all women desire to have provision and covering and safety from their husband. So be a kept wife. Be first kept by God and then kept by your husband. Okay. So to kind of bring it all home, I want you, as I kind of talk about this last thing, I want you to kind of reflect on your own experience here. If you feel guilty when someone does something kind for you, if you instinctively try to repay generosity immediately, if compliments make you uncomfortable, if help makes you feel exposed, I'll hold your hand while I say this. That is not being humble. That is actually your nervous system trying to protect you from potential loss or disappointment. Because somewhere deep inside, many women, and if you feel like this includes you, carry that belief. If I let myself fully receive, I might lose it. If I let him pay all the bills and he leaves, I'll be left with nothing. If I allow this person to help me, they're going to tell everybody. All of these fearful things. So we stay safe by not needing much. But let me tell you, control in that way is not intimacy. And prepared women, which is what you all are, release guilt by building internal safety first. They reach a place where they can say, I can receive this because I trust myself to survive without it. But I also trust myself to experience it fully. I tell my Kepties all the time, I don't trust myself because I make all the right decisions, but I trust myself because I can always figure it out. I know I can always go to God. So confidence that I can walk around with. I don't have to figure it all out. I don't have to get it right all the time. I can trust that this amazing brain, this amazing life full of experiences I've had, I'm equipped to make informed decisions. And everything is always working for my good, even when I can't understand it. I know that. And if something goes wrong, guess what? I could figure it out. I can go to God about it, and it will be fine ultimately. So we don't have to fear making the wrong choice, being in the wrong situation. Instead, we're just going to equip ourselves to feel confident that we'll do the best we can with what we have. And if it doesn't work out, we can still figure it out. Okay. That is emotional preparedness. That is relational confidence that leads to relational wealth, right? And if this conversation feels confronting or grounding, like this is what I needed, they are both signs that your preparation is actually happening. So that's a good thing, right? And I want you all to know these are the types of identity and relational recalibrations that Kepties are practicing consistently inside the Kepti Academy. Okay. The Academy is not a place where women come to be fixed. I'm not a fixer. But it is where women rebuild their relationship foundation, right? How they see love, how they experience support, and how they prepare themselves for sustainable partnership, right? Inside that space, women are normalizing things like healthy receiving, mutual emotional standards, discernment in dating and relationships, emotional safety, and of course, identity anchoring for a long-term partnership, right? This conversation felt like language you've been missing, okay? The Academy is where that lens becomes lived experience and a community culture. So I invite you to join us inside the Kepti Academy. The link will be in the description, or you can go to keptwifestrategist.com, enter the Keptiverse, and you'll see the information about the Academy there. So here's what I want you to carry with you into the week, right? So summarizing the entire lesson. Guilt is not proof that you are humble. Guilt is often proof that you were taught love must be earned. And women who learn to release the guilt, they often discover that intimacy begins to feel safer, deeper, and far more sustainable. Let me tell you this. You are allowed to receive care without apology. Women who learn to receive well, they create relationships where love no longer feels like something they must manage. How many women can relate to that? Not even desiring love again because it felt like another job. I hear so many women talk about not wanting a husband because they don't want any more kids. Can you imagine having a marriage where you don't have that burden? It feels nothing like that. It only feels uplifting. it only feels like you are partnered with another adult who actually lives to make your life easier. Okay? So, love can be something safe to experience if you prepare properly. And that's what you're doing by showing up here to watch Sounds About Wife every week. So I will see you all next week on Sounds About Wife. But for the next 2 episodes, I'll be here, same time, Wednesday, 1 p.m. But the next 2 episodes are going to be recorded. I do invite you, show up, watch. It's going to debut at the same time. Leave your comments, leave your questions. I will make sure that when I get back from my love sabbatical, I'm going to be gone, enjoying time with my husband for the next 2 weeks from February 15th until February 28th. So I'll be back the first week of March. So these episodes will be recorded. Please still support them. Support the channel. Share the episodes with women who need these messages, right? So I will see you next week. Well, I'll see you in March, but the next episode will be next week. Thank you all so much.